Magandang gabi, ako stage fright Magu. At I had just seen Aswang from 1992, which was uploaded on YouTube, huwag subtitles from Yin Yang. So, salamat Yin Yang. I have been wanting to see an Aswang related movie for a really long time. It has been going on for, I want to say, as early as the 70s. I was looking up recently popular Filipino films to watch. I guess at the time that I had looked it up, I wanted to get into the spirit of things and like kind of get in touch with Filipino culture a little bit more, and I'm obviously a fan of horror movies, so yeah, this seemed like a good way to do it. The one that I was trying to look up was Anak ni Aswang from 1973, and I thought it was going to be the Aswang that I had just seen. It was not the case, but I certainly was not disappointed. I do recommend this one. Tagalog is not my strength. It's not my first language. If it weren't for the help of my family, I wouldn't really have been able to fully understand it, even though I did get the gist. It really helped to have my family there so I could ask questions and stuff. So if you are in the same boat that I'm in, where Tagalog is not your strength, and if you don't fully understand it as well, then I highly recommend watching it with somebody who does. It was really fun for me because it's a movie that is very 90s in the sense, not that I know what life in the Philippines was like in the 90s, but there's definitely Western influences. It's in the beginning, they start singing Somewhere Out There from American Tales on acoustic guitar. Everyone is plastered and it looks amazing. To a scene where they play a song from Nirvana. I never remember what title the song is, but it's the one that goes yeah, forgot how much I like that song. Up until the climax, where any 90s film at the time that has a child ends up home aloneing the shit out of their house. The movie stars Alma Moreno, who, according to my mom, is a bomba star, and I guess the only connection that she and I have to that is that she is one of the many wives of the king of comedy, Dolphy. At some point, she was also the legendary Jezebel by Mars Ravello. I don't know why I said that like an Italian accent. She, for the most part, is silent in this role. She is the Aswang. She does a pretty good job. She comes off as someone who can blend into everyday society, yet there is an ominous presence about them. Before I get into it, I should get into what is an Aswang. In Filipino culture, an Aswang is a shape-shifting creature that likes to mostly prey on pregnant women and their babies. And in some cases, when they do attack pregnant women, they also attack the fetus in their stomachs through their long serpentine tongue that have these prongs of some sort. That is how they get the children. And yeah, that is the Aswang. This movie is about a girl named Kathleen who is with her yaya and the family driver. They are taking her back to her mom, but the mom and the people that work in her household are held hostage by these gang of robbers, who is led by their security guard. They enter into a bloodbath, and because they witnessed what happened, they flee to the Visayas, which is the countryside. The part of the countryside that they're hiding in is where the Aswang has been attacking the villagers. As a part of the folklore, that is where the Aswang usually attacks. When they get there, there's already a funeral by one of the Aswang's latest victims, and they start learning more about it. From there, most of the movie is about their living in the village and hiding, and witnessing the other Aswang attacks that occur. It's pretty interesting. There is some good suspense. It's a B movie in the sense where when you see the Aswang in its full form, it's a rubber suit, but it's very entertaining. I don't know if Alma Moreno is actually in that suit, but it's pretty good. The blood in this movie is very, not accurate, but it looks well enough to where it's not ketchup or watered down paint. And there's also some stock footage of the animals that she turns into, such as a black pig I know that might sound hilarious, but pigs will rip you to shreds. She also turns into a kitten to lure in the little girl, an old woman, a winged animal, they didn't really specify, and variations of snakes. I'm not entirely sure how they handled the snakes in this movie because everyone's acting pretty well to it. I would have honestly lost my shit. Knowing a little bit how filmmaking is in the Philippines, it's pretty amazing how they got that shot. I'm curious but also kind of worried to know how they were able to do that. And with that said, there's also a small concern about the stunts. So far what I know about Filipino cinema, aside from what my family has told me from what they had seen growing up, is this documentary, which I highly recommend, called Machete Maidens Unleashed. It actually talks about how B-movie directors would go from America to the Philippines to shoot their exploitative movies, and it actually unleashed the careers of non-Filipino actors such as Pam Grier, Marlene Clark, Sid Haig from House of a Thousand Corpses, as well as Filipino cinema legends such as Sergio Santiago, Eddie Romero, and Eddie Garcia. I highly recommend that, but I guess what I wanted to pull from the documentary was that at the time, Filipino workers that they hired would literally act out what they saw in movies. They didn't really understand the techniques behind it. In terms of stunts, when somebody fell from a high tower, they literally fell from the high tower without any protective covering underneath. Or if somebody jumped through a glass window, it was a real glass window that they jumped through. It wasn't like a sugar-coated plate or anything. So a lot of the workers that participated in the movies had died before the movie was even released, which is a huge shame. My concern with 1992 Aswang is certain stunts-ish in the third act where the kid home alone's the village house. There were certain scenes where one of the bad guys was splashed with scalding hot water. I don't know if they used two different actors for it to happen, if it was really scalding hot water, or I don't know, water with semi-dry ice to make it look smoky. I'm honestly not sure. One instance where somebody's climbing up the rope and the rope is set on fire. They fall from maybe 2-3 stories. I don't know if it was them that actually fell or a stunt double, and it looks like they hit the ground pretty hard. So just things like that. I don't know what the regulations are like now, let alone, early 90s. Hopefully there was better security in that regard, but again, I have no idea. The third act from there, eventually the bad guys do find the girl Kathleen with her yaya and the driver who are hiding in the Visayas. It's up to the little girl to home alone her house and save her life as well as her yaya's. In some instances, it gets her in trouble. Already she is defined as this mischievous little kid, so it doesn't entirely come out of nowhere that she home alones the house. She's known for making these little explosive pranks, such as opening a bag of chips, and in some regard they could be characterizing her as just being a child, but as much as I enjoyed this movie, there are a lot of flaws in it, and this is one of them. Throughout the movie they're told as to what the Aswang is. They've seen the Aswang shapeshift throughout. Towards the end, the Aswang shapeshifts into the girl's dead mother. How she knew what the dead mother looked like, I don't know. Apparently the Aswang just knows what people's dead mothers look like, but she does, and the girl eventually falls for it, knowing full well that this is the Aswang. The yaya has to come and save her. Also, real quick, I should define what a yaya is. A yaya is a caregiver to the children of the house. This confused me because I think this is the first time I've ever seen a yaya who is so young, but apparently that is very common in the Philippines. Which is fine, it was just because there were no subtitles, I honestly thought that there were sisters. The yaya becomes injured while trying to save the little girl, but eventually the little girl snaps out of it and they're able to defeat the Aswang. I think it was also just kind of funny. They're told that they can defeat the Aswang with salt, but rather than sprinkling it onto the property, they're literally just holding a giant tub of salt. And it's not as though they splash the whole container at her. They literally pick up little pelts to throw at her. So yeah, another problem I had with the movie. The main problem throughout this movie is that in the end, the Aswang is injured by the bad guys, and then she is pelted with layers upon layers of salt. But what really gets her in the end is when the sun starts to rise. And the problem with this is that throughout the whole movie, we have seen the Aswang walk throughout the day unscathed. So it made no sense to us. My family and I were just like scratching our heads as to how that happened. I thought it was kind of funny that the final shot of the movie is of a church, which you didn't really see throughout the movie. So who knows if that's the village church or not. Kind of good prevailing over evil, but also the Philippines is a very Catholic nation. So of course there's a church as the final shot of the movie. I'm honestly surprised that they showed that much restraint. Just kidding. Joke lang. I think that's all I had to say about it. I honestly did enjoy this movie. Having never seen it, having not fully understood it. I don't know if that's part of the charm, but yeah, I would recommend it. If you are curious to see what a Filipino horror movie is like, then yeah, go check it out.